Hello everyone, this is Indrajit Ganguly and this is the third video session of history from the topic the French Revolution. Dear students, in recent times we do not have too many options to interact with you, but we have to know that how do you like these video sessions. So please write down your views and feedback in the comment box so we can improve our skills accordingly. As we have seen in our last video, there was growing sense of discontentment among third estate people. The political, social and economic condition prevailed in the 18th century forced people to think about changes in the society. King Louis XVI was aware of this situation very well. He knew that people were fighting for bread. Production of grains could not keep pace with the demand. Due to bad harvest, the situation became worse. However, King Louis XVI conveyed the Estates General on 5th May 1789. Now students, you can ask me, sir, what is Estates General? Then I can tell you, Estates General is a law-making body, or we can say it's a legislative body of France, where three different estates, that is first, second and third estate, have their representatives in the Estates General. But surprisingly, no other monarch in France called the Estates General in 150 years. Now you can ask me why? Because the answer is very simple. As France had a monarchical government in 18th century, right? So the monarch, that means the king, is the absolute authority. What does it mean? It means that king is the supreme authority. So the king does not need any permission or suggestion from any person or any legislative body. That's why no other monarch in France called the Estates General in 150 years. But on 5th May 1789, Louis XVI decided to call the Estates General. Now you can ask me why. Then I can say that people were unhappy in France as there was massive food crisis. Although King Louis XVI decided to impose taxes on the people of third estates, people had massive amount of debt and the royal treasury has been emptied due to the American War of Independence. So King Louis XVI had no option but to increase taxes. Therefore, he needed permission from the three estates of the society, that is clergy, nobility and the common people. So he called the Estates General. The Estates General in France consisted of representatives from all the three estates. 300 members from first estate, same number of people from second estate. In contrast, 600 people represented the third estate. The educated and prosperous members of the third estate were allowed to sit at the back, but the rest of the third estate people were not allowed to attend the meeting, but they were allowed to send their grievances in later. I hope you understood that there were 1200 representatives attended the proceedings. But King Louis XVI adopted a unique voting style that each estate had only one vote. Therefore, it can be said that any proposal can be passed in this meeting as clergy and nobles supported the king. But representatives of the third estate protested against this proposal. They were inspired by the philosophy of Rousseau, who was the writer of the book social contract, where he proposed that each person will have one vote. Therefore, entire assembly must cast their vote. King Louis XVI rejected this proposal, and the representatives of the Third Estate walked out in protest. They gathered in the hall of an indoor tennis court in the grounds of Versailles on 20th June 1789. They declared themselves as National Assembly and took oath not to leave. They had drafted a constitution for France that would limit the powers of monarch. Their team leader was Mirabeau and Abbasius. An oath was administered by Bailly. Another prominent member was Robespierre. The incident was known as the tennis court oath in the history of France. After this incident, the situation became worse as the price of food products increased rapidly. So King Louis XVI became very worried by the situation and ordered the troops to control the rebellions. Now, several hundred people came into the streets of Paris and finally stormed the fortress Bastille on 14 July 1789. In this way, French Revolution started. People demolished the Bastille and bricks were sold in a market as memento of revolution. Dear students, do you know that nowadays the 14th July is celebrated as the National Day of France, just like 15th August and 26th January in India. Anyway, after the French Revolution, Louis XVI on August 1789 recognized the National Assembly and agreed to abide by their framework. The National Assembly abolished all the taxes from the Third Estate people. Special privileges of clergy and nobility dismissed. After the withdrawal of taxes, the prices of necessity goods dropped suddenly and people became happy once again. In 1791, the National Assembly of France drafted a new constitution. By this, France became constitutional monarchy and the king would share his power with judiciary, executive and legislative. But the executive power was lay in hands of Louis XVI. Once again, the voting rights were not secured by universal adult franchise. Only men above 25 years of age and paid taxes were allowed to vote. These people were recognized as active citizens, while others were passive citizens. The Constitution of France, which was drafted by the National Assembly in 1791, began with Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen, where right to life, freedom of speech, equality before law were established as natural and inalienable rights. Remember students, let me tell you some interesting things that I think you know that our constitution also have some fundamental rights, right? So try to remember those fundamental rights because it was already discussed in class 8. So our fundamental rights of our constitution was greatly influenced by the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen from the French Revolution. Okay, so this is it for today. In my next class, I will discuss with you that how France abolishes the monarchy and establishes the republic. Thank you and have a nice day.